Hey y'all, it's Farley with Writer's Edge Podcast, and today we're going to see if we can lead a horse to water. So today, let's have a conversation about hydration. Let's see if we can lead a horse to water, and let's see if we can lead a human to water. So, let's talk about hydration for both people and horses. So, let's talk about people first. So, if you try to Google search, if you try to look at the literature, experts cannot agree on how much water you need to drink. They do agree that you need to drink water. We do know that water is vital to all body systems. When you are properly hydrated, you have improved brain function, you have improved digestion, and you have improved joint health, among many, many other things. The only standard that really has stuck around is the 8x8 rule. So you've probably heard drink 8-ounce glasses of water a day. Well, I don't know about you, but what in the world does that look like? Because in my brain, I can't picture how much water that is. So if you smash all that together, it is a half a gallon. Cool. Okay. I can see what a half a gallon looks like in my brain. And now I'm sitting here going, half a gallon of water? You want me to drink a half a gallon of water? I'll never get to sleep at night, Farrells. Slow down, slow down. Don't get crazy on me yet. A half a gallon of water a day is a good measuring tool, and let's plus or minus that depending upon your situation. Because your water intake is going to change with your activity level. So if you're exercising more, obviously you're going to drink more water. It's going to change depending upon your diet as well. If you eat a diet that has a lot of vegetables and fruit and foods that can have high water value, that's going to decrease your actual water intake. So let's keep that half a gallon in our brain, but again, let's take in all the factors because it is an individual decision, and it's an individual thing that changes per the situation, right? Okay, so you're sitting there going, okay, Farrells, I don't really like the taste of water. I drink tea, I drink coffee. I may drink coffee all day. It keeps me chill or whatever. You may come at me because I've heard this before. Well, beer has water, Farrells. I'll just drink beer. Okay. We're going to pull alcohol out of the situation. And I'm going to not acknowledge that you said beer has a lot of water in it. I know that. However, we're going to take alcohol out of this conversation of hydration. We can have that conversation for another day. Coffee and tea are perfectly acceptable to count in your water intake as long as there is not a lot of added sugar to either one. Sodas are out. Sodas have way too much sugar or aspartame or other chemicals in it and will totally wreck your hydration and nutrition. But if you are a soda drinker, don't despair. I'm not going to tell you to throw them out. I'm going to tell you to use small steps equal forward motion. Decrease your soda intake by one whatever it is, one small can, one 32-ounce pop, whatever it is. Decrease it by one and add water in its place. Do that for a couple weeks. make it easy. Like, well, let's not get crazy here. And I promise you, if just small changes in your hydration can have a big difference. I've seen it in my clients over and over and over again. As you get more comfortable with that, decrease it some more until you get it to where it is very much either a treat or a minimal part of your day or week. We'll talk about alcohol for a second. It dehydrates. It doesn't matter whether it's beer or whiskey, how much water you put in the whiskey, whatever silly thing you want to tell me. Oh, there's a study that they looked at alcohol consumption on college athletes and studied their sleep patterns and different things. And they determined that, and they didn't really give them any instructions about their alcohol consumption. They just let them go be them. And they determined that no matter how much they consumed, their bodies had a hard time catching back up through their workouts. Their workouts decreased for a set number of days after their alcohol consumption, along with their sleep patterns. And I believe the study said that it aged them 12 years by the amount of alcohol consumption they had. And again, it was not a crazy amount, nor did they give them predetermined amounts that they were supposed to meet when they were drinking. So, sad news, I know, but I'm not going to tell you or my tribe or anybody to quit alcohol. Just if we're trying to balance out our hydration level, let's be smart and let's play the hydration game a little better. So, with all that information, with taking small steps to change, stick with it, because the reason why we're having this hydration conversation today is that I feel like everybody knows that you should drink water, and water is good for you. Water is good for your horses. But I don't think we are always honest with the reality of our water intake for ourselves or our horses. Just like not having a concept of 8-ounce glasses of water. I think we often overlook exactly what our hydration levels are. I've seen that in my clients. I've had my eyes were really open to the importance of hydration and the overlooking of hydration with my dad last summer. He went in for a routine outpatient biopsy and his blood pressure bottomed out. And it was because it was in August, and he was so dehydrated that and we think a reaction to the anesthesia, he bottomed out and had to be rushed to the hospital and spent 3 days in the hospital on fluids. Now, my dad is a very educated person, very smart, hardworking individual. He is outside all the time, working horses and running cattle. So, and he's from Wyoming, so which is very, very arid environment. And he always has his canteen. Yes, he has an old-fashioned canteen with him, and he drinks water during the day. But until that happened, and until we started looking at his hydration level afterwards through recovery and everything, we did not realize how dehydrated he was. And it was amazing within a month of that incident happening and changing his hydration water level. He adds Propel. He adds electrolytes to 1 canteen a day and then drinks plain water the rest of the day. He was able to get off of all ibuprofen, Aleve, anti-inflammatories af- within changing his hydration levels. Now he's had to adjust other things, but for somebody who works as hard as he does and who has ate ibuprofen and or Aleve like M&Ms for the time I've known him, that's huge and that's mind-blowing to me. And he's kept it up. And as we talk about it, he's like, growing up out there, water, like your body adapts, right? We've talked about this in other conversations. The body is so good at adapting to a situation, to keeping us alive. And there are so many adaptations that can happen. You adapt to things and you don't think anything about it because your body figures out how to work and it doesn't really ripple the water. And you just keep going because there's cattle to work, there's horses to ride, there's rodeos to go to, whatever. And but looking back on it now, we both feel like he's been dehydrated most of his life, which is just crazy. I have had other clients with not as drastic of a realization as my dad had, but other horse trainers, other cowboys, working individuals that we have worked through hydration systems for them, and it has changed. They've been able to get off of anti-inflammatories as well and manage their pain and aches very differently than they were managing them. So that is one reason I'm super passionate about talking about hydration, but talking about it in realistic terms. Like, let's be real. Let's talk about how it can really affect you and, give you some real world examples here instead of saying, oh, Google and the experts say hydration is great. Yeah, no duh. So the moral of the story is when you're looking at your own personal hydration, be realistic about what you actually drink in a day. And if you don't know, start measuring. An easy way to measure is just, get a water bottle and refill it and use it throughout the day, or something that is a measurement. Like, let's keep it simple here. We don't have to make this complicated. And get a good sense of what you're drinking in a day, and then let's start adjusting it, whether it is taking away a sugary drink or just adding more water consciously, or if you are one of those people who don't like the taste of water, gosh, add Propel to it, add one of those flavor packets, because that's better than not getting water or turning to a more sugary drink. Keep after that, keep changing that, and I promise you will notice a difference in energy level, how you move, how your joints feel, your digestive tract. Your body will thank you, and thank you quickly for it. On the flip side of that, I feel like we need to take a closer look at our horses' hydration. So, horses drink 5 to 15 gallons of water a day. And that is sedentary, non-working horses. So, just like taking a realistic look at your water intake, is your horse drinking that much a day? And do you know that? So that is 1 to 3 regular buckets of water a day. Now, we know that horses will drink more on fresher water, whether it's one of those automatic waters or whatever, or at least my horses do. That's been my experience. My horses always liked my automatic waters over the buckets in the stall. And it doesn't matter how much I would try to alter that's their preference, and I get it. I wouldn't want to drink stale water either. So, the normal things of keep buckets clean, dump them out. But let's take it a step further. Maybe you change your stall water around. Maybe you use a bigger tub that's on the ground versus hanging a 5-gallon bucket, and see if your horse likes that change. Maybe I've seen some horses that drink better that way. They don't like the closeness of the 5-gallon bucket. The one downfall to automatic waters is that you can't monitor how much they're taking in. You can know a little bit of if you notice that they're out drinking, but when it comes to actually knowing what your water intake is with your horse, it's hard to tell with the automatic waters. But let's look at that. Let's look at changing our other sedentary water around. But also being mindful of our situation and our environment. If we're using big water tanks on the ground, maybe they're not filled to capacity because we clean them more, or different things. Just changing up small things on our horse's hydration, I feel like will have a big impact. Because you're probably sitting there going, okay, Farrells, I know my horse needs water. I have clean buckets, or I think they're clean enough. Yeah. Changing that around and looking at that a little harder, I think will help their health and their performance as well. Just like we talked about with people, with improving joint health and fluidity of movement, it's going to help your horse as well. Because our performance horses are higher workload horses, they're going to consume more water, right? And giving them the opportunity to, and promoting that as much as we can, and finding out what makes individual horses tick for more water is going to help them all the way around. Across the country, it is cooling off. Here in the South, it's finally cooling off. Our friends to the north are in the middle of their first snow. So it's always a good thing to be mindful of as the temperatures cool down, to really look at that water intake, because the horses will get finicky on drinking, which leads to colic, and the circle never ends. So that's why I'd like to talk about hydration when the weather changes, because it can be a ticky thing for horses with the temperature fluctuation. I used to have a mare that was high maintenance, and I had to watch that every time. Every time the wind blew, I had to watch a lot of things, but particularly her water intake. So it may be, depending upon where you live, you're changing buckets up by this time to promote a warmer water temperature so that they will drink more, because I don't know about you, I don't like drinking ice cold water in the middle of winter, and I know our horses don't either. So whether that is wrapping buckets up or using heated buckets, they make different insulators now that are not heated but will keep that temperature a little bit warmer than the cold water. So just different things to look for, different things to think about, because if I think about the sedentary horses at my place, they're not drinking sometimes as much water as I feel like. So I'm actively changing their water out, changing the environment to see if I can get them to drink more. Now, my horses that are actually working, they're consistently hitting their water pretty level. But that's another thing. Horses, even though 5 to 15 gallons is kind of our norm, right? It's going to fluctuate and vary between days. They may hit that norm, 3 days in a row, and then less the fourth day. Environment's going to change how much they drink. Their diet just like people, is going to change their water intake. Horses that are out on pasture in high grass season are going to consume less water because there's a higher moisture content when grass is at its optimum. Horses that are on an all hay diet are going to drink more water because there's not as much moisture in hay as there is grass. And our pals that are in a hay grain mixed diet are going to fall somewhere in the middle there. So diet, activity level will change water variations in horses as well. So in people or horses, we'll say and horses, you can lead them to water, but you can't always make them drink. But I feel like if we make a more conscious effort to know where both we are at and our horses are at, then we can promote hydration, which will help in our health and well-being, no matter if we are two-legged or four-legged. So I hope that gives you a little bit of thought-provoking. How's my hydration system going today? And thank you, as always, for tuning in and having a conversation with me. And as always, I will see you down the road. Thank you for listening to the Rider's Edge podcast today. We appreciate your time and attention. Thank you for always helping us move the conversation forward. If you liked today's podcast, please help us keep the conversations going by subscribing to this podcast and consider leaving us a review so others can find us and join in on the conversations. You can also find more information by checking us out on our social media channels, including Facebook at Rider's Edge Therapy and Wellness, Instagram at Rider's Edge Therapy, and our website, www.ridersedgetherapy.com. It is there that you can book a consult for either you or your horse. Thank you, and as always, we will see you down the road.